What is up, everyone? Today I'm going to talk about an important topic to Bitcoiners and just people that are following what Bitcoin is doing from the technological lens. Now, a lot of us right now know that there's kind of two main groups of people when it comes to Bitcoin. There's those that don't want to change the code, that kind of want to keep things as they are because overall we don't want change, because if you change things, those changes could actually have unintended consequences. There's also those who do want more changes, that want to kind of move fast, break things, all that kind of stuff. And I think, it's a little more complex than what meets the eye, but generally those people, they may not have as much Bitcoin. Maybe they're newer into the space. Maybe they're kind of more have a tech background. They can be or tend to be a little bit younger. And the thing is this: what do we want for Bitcoin? What is the best long-term solution for everyone? So the thing is this: why ossification? Why do we want this? What are the benefits? And this is a money that is going to be base money for the world, right? And if it's going to be base money for the world, we need slow and steady. We do not want kind of a situation where, like we just had actually with Taproot, where there was an unintended consequence where now we have ordinals, right? Who would have thought that this would have happened? And the question is this: if we do make another change to the Bitcoin base chain, what other unintended consequences that we haven't even thought of yet will come and rise? So with ossification, a lot of it is slow and steady. Maybe let's make one, maybe two changes every decade. And if that, right? And it has to go through a very vigorous process, and it has to get overwhelming consensus. So overall, that's kind of the line of thought actually for those that want to ossify. But what are the downsides of this, right? The thing is this: if we don't do anything to the base layer, then how will we get 8, 9, 10, 15 billion people onto the protocol? There's just not enough throughput or transactions in the day to be able to handle that. All the different lightning channels opening, even larger net worth people trying to move money, it's going to take time. So I think we haven't thought about all the unintended consequences when it comes to onboarding everyone in the world. The technology in layer 2 isn't quite there yet too. So that's another thing to think about. We need scaling to be supported by all. And just think about the people right now that want to open a lightning channel in Africa. They make $1 a day maybe. How much does it cost to open a lightning channel? Well, you have to transact on the base chain. $3 to $5. So 5 days of work to open up a channel. That's not right. So these are kind of like simple, low-level examples of the issues with kind of the fee environment right now. And we should expect these fees to grow, but we should have solutions that will bring it so everyone can open up a channel, everyone can transact with Lightning in a non-custodial manner. So there's higher layers of Bitcoin that we know of, and I think there's a lot of innovation. Like Arc right now is being done. There's Fedimint, eCash, a lot of layers on 2, 3, and above. There's a lot of great work being done. My thing is this: why can't we find some sort of middle of the road approach? We don't want to ossify and show that, we can't change a single thing over the next decade. But we also don't want to make a move and have it break. Not saying that'll happen. I'm just saying you have the risk of bad things happening when you keep changing. And I also worry too, once you make a change, then you're going to have to make another change and another change. And before you know it, it's going to, we saw with Ethereum, they made some pretty big changes in a short period of time. And from a technological standpoint, I don't think it worked too well. So we need that thoughtful evolution with the shared consensus. I think we need, obviously, in the test environment, in the dev environment, everything needs to be done thoroughly. I'll say I'm conservative, But 1 being pro-ossification, Michael Saylor, 10 being move fast, break things, tech CEO, I would say I'm probably between a 5 and a 6, maybe a 5.5. So I lean more on the let's update as we see fit to help scale to the world, but at the same time, let's really focus on those higher layers. So I think as the price goes up, and a lot of people's net worths get wrapped into this, like if the price goes to $1 million a coin, a lot of people will be millionaires, right? So in situations like that, I think people will naturally lean towards ossification because they don't want to make a change that actually ends up hurting their net worth. So, at the end of the day, I think it's important for Bitcoiners to be open-minded. Yes, they made the life raft, right? The hypothetical life raft that we all talked about over the past couple of years. But what about the worker in Vegas who's a server, or the Filipino working on the cruise ship, cleaning the beds? What about those people? What about the person in Africa who has a smartphone but doesn't have the income to open up a Lightning channel? What about those people, right? Because if it's a system that just works for the rich Bitcoiners and not for everyone, then it's not a system that works for all. It's not a system that'll work for 8 billion people. Unless we recreate the fiat system, like have Bitcoin banks, we get people on custodial wallets, and then it's just a repeat of what we already have. I don't think that's a good idea. I think we need to bridge the gap where we can have the world, generally speaking, conduct transactions in a non-custodial way. We got to think about things over the long term. We got to think about how this can scale to everyone. But at the same time, we need to be very conservative. We need to be conservative, thoughtful, calculated, and measured. But we need to think about ways to always improve and always get better. There's always going to be unintended consequences of the change. The key is to try to mitigate that risk to the best of our abilities. And I think with this community, with all the smart people in it, I think we can definitely look through those BIPs, look through the pros, the cons, stress test everything in the test and the dev environment before moving it to the production chain. Anyways, guys, I'd love to hear what you think. Also, are you guys for or against ossification of the Bitcoin protocol? I think it's kind of a strong word. To ossify is to keep the same, to not improve or change. It's just to keep as is. I think the community is divided, but I do think a lot of the OGs or the older Bitcoiners, they want the ossification. The newer ones, they don't want it. That's generally speaking. I'm not saying everyone's like that, but what are your thoughts? Anyways, guys, I love putting this one together. Be sure to comment, rate, subscribe, like, share it around, stream those sats, and I'll catch you in the next one.